There's a silence that follows the moment you lose everything. For Ethan Cole, that silence came after the final phone call, the one where his partner, David Lawson, told him the deal fell through, the investors pulled out, and the lawsuit was coming. The gym lights flickered above his head as if the building itself knew it was over. His hands, once strong and sure, trembled as he held the eviction notice. He'd built this place from nothing, brick by brick, rep by rep, and now it was gone. Outside, rain carved silver veins across the windshield of his black sedan. It was no longer a car. It was his home. His reflection stared back at him in the glass. 35, unshaven, hollow-eyed, the face of a man who had given everything and been left with nothing. In that dark parking lot, Ethan whispered the first promise of his new life. "I'm not done." Night deepens. The city quiets, but inside Ethan's car, silence is heavy. The hum of distant traffic becomes a cruel lullaby. He lies across the back seat, knees bent, clutching his jacket as a blanket. Each breath turns to fog on the window. He stares at the roofliner, counting the seconds until dawn. His mind loops through every moment that led here. The lawsuits, the betrayal, the divorce papers left unsigned on the kitchen table. His phone glows beside him. 20 missed calls. None from Emma. His thumb hovers over her contact, but he can't call. Not yet. What could he say? That her father sleeps where the rain can touch him? That the man she drew as a hero is now a ghost under streetlight? He closes his eyes. The seat creaks as he whispers into the dark. Tomorrow I'll find something. But tomorrow is a promise that feels too far away. The camera lingers on his face as exhaustion drags him into uneasy sleep, the kind that feels more like surrender than rest. Morning cuts through the fog. Ethan wakes to the sound of knocking. A police officer tapping the window, eyes wary but not unkind. "You can't park here overnight," he says. Ethan nods silently, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. The humiliation burns deeper than the cold. He drives off, finding a gas station miles away. In the restroom mirror, he studies himself beneath the flickering fluorescent light. The man staring back looks older, rough. He splashes his face with icy water, watching droplets trace the lines of exhaustion. A young boy, maybe 16, fills the vending machine beside him, stealing quick glances, pity hidden in his eyes. Ethan forces a smile, grabs a coffee, and steps outside. The morning air smells like diesel and dust. Across the street, a billboard reads, "Winners never quit." The irony makes him laugh. A hollow sound swallowed by the trap. He takes a sip of bitter coffee and mutters, "Then maybe I'm just not done losing yet." By afternoon, Ethan parks near a public park overlooking the city. He opens his notebook, the last one he owns, and begins to write. Not plans, not dreams, just thoughts. Words like trust, failure, forgive fill the page in shaky handwriting. Each word feels like lifting a weight he can barely hold. He looks out the windshield and sees joggers passing by, laughing, earbuds in, living the life he used to train others to have. The irony stings. He remembers his old motivational speeches. "Discipline is your freedom." Now those words echo like a taunt. Then he hears laughter. Children chasing each other near the playground. One little girl runs past with blonde curls that catch the sunlight, and for a second, he imagines is Emma. The ache in his chest is sharp, but somehow, it steadies him. He smiles faintly. He whispers to himself, "She deserves to see me rise again." The notebook closes, and a new promise begins. That night, the rain returns. Ethan drives to the edge of town, parking beneath an overpass. Wind howls through broken concrete, shaking the car slightly. He opens his phone. No signal. And plays an old voice message, Emma's laughter, recorded years ago. "You can do anything, Daddy," she says. The sound fills the empty car like light through a crack in a wall. He looks up at the ceiling. The same one he stared at the night before, but something has shifted. This time, he doesn't see failure. He sees foundation. Every scar, every loss, every tear has become the soil for something new. He leans forward, presses his palms together and whispers, "God, if you're still here, give me strength to climb out of this." The wind answers with a low howl, but deep inside, he feels a warmth, faint, but real. He lies back, closes his eyes, and lets faith cradle him through the storm. Days blur together. Ethan lives by a rhythm only he can hear, the sound of survival. He wakes before dawn, wipes condensation off the windows, and drives aimlessly through streets that don't remember him. The city moves on, unaware of the man quietly vanishing inside his car. At red lights, he watches other lives unfold. Men in suits sipping coffee, mothers walking their kids to school. Each glimpse feels like a lifetime stolen from him. Hunger gnaws at his stomach, but pride keeps him from asking for help. He eats from dollar menus, sleeps where no one looks twice. Yet, even in the fog of despair, something small stirs. Each morning before the city fully wakes, Ethan steps out into the cold and runs, not far, not fast, but forward. His shoes slap wet pavement, echoing against the still dawn. Each breath burns, but in that pain, he finds rhythm. And in that rhythm, light. Midday sun glares across the parking lot as Ethan washes up in a gas station restroom. His reflection, once a stranger, now looks determined. He dries his face with paper towels and slips out before the attendant notices. Across the street, he spots a help wanted sign at a diner. He hesitates. The memory of leading a team, owning a company, feels like another life. But hunger speaks louder than pride. He walks in, head low. The manager, Rita, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and sharp edges, studies him. "You wash dishes?" she asks. He nods. "I can do anything." By evening, his hands are raw from scrubbing pans. Grease clings to his skin, but so does a strange peace. When the diner closes, Rita hands him a sandwich and says softly, "Keep showing up." Ethan nods, the words heavier than they sound. Because this time, showing up is all he has left. The nights grow colder. Ethan saves his diner wages in a small envelope under the car seat. He spends hours parked near the ocean, watching waves crash against the rocks. The sea becomes his confessional, its roar swallowing his regrets. Sometimes he talks aloud as if the wind can hear him. "You lost everything, Ethan, but you're still breathing." That has to mean something. He doesn't know if he believes it yet. In the distance, fireworks burst from a city event, colors reflecting off the water. Families cheer, couples embrace. Ethan watches in silence, light flickering across his face. A tear slips down, but he smiles through it. For the first time, the pain doesn't destroy him. It builds something: patience, humility, strength in solitude. He looks at the horizon and whispers, "I'm not who I was." But maybe that's the point. Days turn to weeks. Ethan keeps showing up. To work, to his runs, to himself. Rita begins saving leftover meals for him, pretending not to notice he sleeps in his car. One night, as she closes up, she hands him a keychain with a small cross. "For luck," she says. Ethan stares at it, remembering the faith he used to have. Later, parked under the same streetlight that once felt like a spotlight of shame, he hangs the cross from his rearview mirror. It swings gently as wind moves through a cracked window. He touches it, whispering, "Thank you." In that moment, something shifts. The car that once held only his defeat now holds quiet gratitude. It's still his shelter, but no longer his prison. The first rays of dawn wash across the city. Ethan jogs up a quiet hill overlooking the skyline. His breath is steady, his stride sure. The air feels different, lighter, cleaner. At the top, he stops, hands on his knees, lungs burning. The world below stretches wide and new. He pulls out his notebook, writes 3 words. Still I rise. Then he looks at the horizon and smiles, not out of pride, but peace. For the first time, since losing everything, he doesn't feel broken. He feels rebuilt. Not from what he gained, but from what he refused to surrender. His will. The wind whips through his hoodie as sunlight floods his face. Ethan stands tall against the rising day, no longer the man who lost it all, but the man learning how to begin again. Each morning before the diner opens, Ethan runs. The city no longer feels like an enemy. It's his witness. He counts steps, not miles. Each stride is a promise whispered to the wind. Keep moving. His body aches, but his mind sharpens. At the diner, he works silently. Rita notices the change, his posture straighter, his eyes focused. You're different lately, she says, sliding a plate toward him. He nods, smiling faintly. Maybe I'm starting to remember who I am. That night, he sits in his car and writes 3 goals. Get stable. Get strong. Give back. The paper trembles in his hand, not from fear, but from belief. The world had taken everything, but not his will to rebuild. The man who once lived for success now lives for purpose. The man who slept in darkness now runs toward light. One afternoon, as Ethan wipes tables after a lunch rush, a group of teenagers enters, loud, restless, full of energy. They tease him at first, mocking his worn clothes and tired face. But when one of them spills his drink, Ethan reacts not with anger, but patience. He smiles, hands the boy a towel, and says, "Clean it up." It's what men do when they make mistakes. Something in his tone, calm yet commanding, silences the group. They leave quietly. Rita watches from behind the counter, eyes narrowed in thought. Later that evening, she tells him, "You ever think about teaching again?" He laughs softly. "Teaching what? How to lose everything?" She shakes her head. "No, how to start over." Days pass. Word spreads in small circles about the man at the diner who listens, who helps, who never complains. Some of the same teenagers begin stopping by after school, not for food, but to talk. Ethan doesn't preach. He shares stories about loss, discipline, second chances. He starts filming short videos on his old phone, just him sitting in his car, speaking raw truth. You can't rebuild your life by waiting for perfect. You rebuild it by starting ugly, small, and honest. He posts them online, not expecting anything. But views come, comments follow. People hear his pain and find their own reflection in it. One night, scrolling through the messages, Ethan reads a comment. "I was about to give up. Your story made me stay." He closes his eyes. A tear slips down. For the first time, he realizes his suffering wasn't wasted. It became a map. Weeks turn into months. Ethan's online videos reach thousands. He's still washing dishes by day, still sleeping in his car. But the world begins to notice. One morning, a local gym owner stops by the diner. "You the guy from the videos?" he asks. Ethan hesitates, embarrassed. The man smiles. "We need someone like you to train our members, not just their bodies, but their mindset." Ethan accepts. The next day, he steps into a gym for the first time in years. The smell of rubber mats and iron fills the air. Familiar. Sacred. He grips a barbell, eyes closed, remembering everything he lost and everything he fought to reclaim. That night, driving back to his parking spot, he whispers, "Thank you." But this time, it's not desperation. It's gratitude. Late one night, after training his last client, Ethan drives back to the overlook where he once sat alone. The same city lights shimmer below, but they no longer look like strangers. He steps out, breathing deeply, wind tugging at his hoodie. He takes out his phone and records again. This time, his voice steady. Don't curse the nights you slept in your car. They were your classroom. Don't despise your pain. It carved the space for your strength. He looks at the skyline, eyes bright with humility. One day they'll ask how you did it, and you'll smile, because you know what it cost. He ends the recording. The wind carries his words into the city he once feared. A single tear falls, not from sadness, but from the awe of becoming everything he thought he lost. Ethan's life has become a rhythm of purpose. Morning runs, diner shifts, gym sessions, nightly videos. What began as whispers from his car now echo across the internet. People write from everywhere. Parents, students, strangers, all saying the same thing. You reminded me to try again. One morning, scrolling through messages, he sees a name he never expected. Maya Rivera, his former employee. The one he let down when everything collapsed. Her message is short. Your story saved me from giving up. I'd love to see you again. Ethan stares at the screen for a long time. The past rushes back. Guilt, loss, broken trust. But beneath it all, something softer blooms. Hope. Maybe this was never about rebuilding his old life, but healing the people who were hurt when it fell. He takes a deep breath and types one word. Coffee. They meet at a small cafe by the waterfront. The same one where they once celebrated their gym's first anniversary. Time has changed them both. Maya's posture is confident, but her eyes soften when she sees him. You look grounded, she says with a gentle smile. Ethan chuckles. That's one way to say I've been through the fire. They talk for hours. About mistakes, lessons, forgiveness. Maya tells him she watched his videos, how his honesty reminded her of the leader he used to be. You lost everything, she says, but you found something most people never do. Truth. Ethan looks out at the water, sunlight reflecting in his eyes. Maybe I had to lose everything to understand what matters. Weeks later, Maya visits one of Ethan's gym sessions. She watches him train a group of teenagers, the same ones who once mocked him at the diner. Now they hang on his every word. Discipline is doing it when no one's clapping, he tells them, voice firm but kind. When I was sleeping in that car, no one saw me running at sunrise. But those miles built me. After class, Maya approaches, eyes shining. You've become someone the world needs, she says. He shakes his head. I'm just a man trying not to waste his second chance, she smiles. Then maybe it's time the world sees it. Her words plant a seed, one that will grow into something neither of them can yet imagine. Soon after, Maya approaches Ethan with an idea to film a short documentary about his story. People need to see more than your videos, she says. They need to feel the journey. Ethan hesitates. The thought of reliving his past terrifies him. I don't want pity, he says quietly. Maya shakes her head. Then show them strength. They begin filming. Early runs, diner shifts, moments of quiet reflection in his car. Ethan's words flow like prayer. Your rock bottom isn't your burial. It's your foundation. The project takes shape, raw and real. When Maya shows him the first cut, he sits in silence. The man on the screen is broken and beautiful. That's me, he whispers, voice trembling. But it's also every person who still believes they can rise. The documentary releases online. Within days, it explodes. Millions of views, thousands of shares. People call Ethan the car coach. Messages flood in. Stories of redemption, people quitting addictions, marriages rekindled, dreams reignited. But Ethan doesn't chase fame. He still works, still trains, still prays in the same car that once sheltered his pain. The difference now is what it represents. Not failure, but faith. One night, standing outside the diner, Maya says softly, "You did it." Ethan smiles, eyes glistening in the streetlight. "No," he says. "We did. He looks up at the sky, the same sky that once seemed so far, and whispers thank you. The camera pans upward, fading into stars. The spark has become a fire. The days that once blurred into survival now overflow with meaning. Ethan's phone lights up with interviews, podcasts, and invitations. His story, the man who lost everything and slept in his car, has become a symbol of unstoppable resilience. But fame doesn't sit easily on his shoulders. In the gym, young men line up to meet him, their eyes filled with admiration. "You changed my life," one says. Ethan smiles, but replies softly, "No, you changed yours. I just reminded you how." At night, he still returns to the same parking spot overlooking the city. He prays there, not for success, but for humility. That he never forget the cold nights that built his fire. And when he finishes, he whispers, "Let this reach who it's meant to reach." Soon, opportunities multiply. Sponsors call, news crews arrive, and producers pitch him TV appearances. Maya manages the growing attention with steady hands, but Ethan feels the weight of it pressing. Every headline praises his strength, yet inside he fears losing the simplicity that saved him. During one interview, the host asks, "What was your lowest point?" Ethan pauses, his eyes drifting to the camera lens. "Sleeping in my car," he says, and realizing nobody was coming to rescue me, but also learning that I didn't need them to. The crowd falls silent. When the show ends, he steps outside into sunlight, takes a long breath, and smiles. Not because of applause, but because he told the truth, and truth is what set him free. With growing fame comes temptation, larger deals, faster promises. One night, a corporate sponsor offers him millions to endorse their brand. "It's your moment," Maya says carefully, sensing his hesitation. Ethan studies the contract, then sets it down. "If my story becomes an ad, it stops being a light." He chooses to walk away, and for a brief second, doubt claws at him. But then he remembers the car, the rain, the prayers whispered into empty nights. The decision feels right. That evening, he films a new message. "Don't sell your scars, share them." Within hours, the clip goes viral, even bigger than before. The world doesn't just see success, they see integrity, and that's rarer than gold. Months later, Ethan's platform has grown into a movement. Still I Rise. He and Maya travel to schools, shelters, and prisons, speaking to those who feel forgotten. Every stage is different, but his message is the same. You're not what broke you. You're what you choose to rebuild. In a crowded auditorium, he notices a young man crying in the front row. After the talk, the boy approaches him. "I was living in my car too," he says. Ethan places a hand on his shoulder. "Then you're already stronger than most. Keep driving." As they leave, Maya whispers, "You're changing lives." Ethan smiles softly. "No," he replies. "God's just using my scars as proof that healing is possible." Late one evening, Ethan returns to the same overpass where his journey began. The air is quiet, the concrete walls still scarred by time. He parks, steps out, and leans against the car. Now clean, shining, a symbol redeemed. He looks toward the skyline, remembering every sleepless night, every whisper of doubt, every prayer answered in silence. "You didn't lose everything," he murmurs to himself. "You just lost what couldn't carry you higher." His phone vibrates. A message from Rita. "Proud of you. Keep going." He smiles, eyes misting. The city glows before him like an altar. And for the first time, he doesn't see struggle or victory. He sees grace, woven through it all. Success changes everything, except the memories you haven't made peace with. For Ethan, those memories have a name. David Lawson. The first message arrives on a Wednesday evening. "Saw your documentary. Proud of you. Would love to talk." Ethan stares at the words, his chest tightening. The man who took everything from him, money, trust, Even his marriage was now asking for a meeting. He closes his eyes, feeling the old anger stir like ashes in wind. Then he exhales slowly. He's not the man he was. He types back 2 words that surprise even himself. Let's talk. Forgiveness, he realizes, isn't weakness. It's proof of freedom. They meet the next day in the same district where their gym once stood. The building is gone, replaced by a glass office tower. David waits by the curb, his suit immaculate, smile prep. Ethan approaches slowly, hands in his pockets. Ethan. David says, voice uncertain, "You look different." Ethan smiles faintly. Alive. They walk. David talks about regret, loss, bad choices. Ethan listens in silence. When David finally stops, eyes glassy, he says, "I don't expect forgiveness." Ethan nods. "Then it's easier to give it. I'm not freeing you from what you did, David. I'm freeing myself from carrying it." The words land heavy, not in anger, but grace. After their meeting, Ethan drives to the hill overlooking the city. The weight he's carried for years feels lighter, like an old wound finally allowed to heal. He thinks of his daughter, of Maya, of Rita, the people who saw him not for what he lost, but for what he chose to become. That night, he speaks at a charity gala hosted by Maya's new foundation. The theme is Grace Through Grit. Standing at the podium, he looks out at hundreds of faces and says, "If you want peace, stop waiting for apologies. Forgive anyway. Not because they deserve it, but because you do." Applause fills the hall, but Ethan doesn't hear it as victory. He hears it as release. Later that week, David visits the gym where Ethan now teaches. He stands in the doorway, hesitant. The trainees recognize Ethan from his videos. Their respect fills the air like quiet thunder. When Ethan sees David, he smiles and waves him in. David lingers by the wall, watching Ethan guide a young man through his workout. The student falters, but Ethan's voice is calm. "Don't rush your strength. Build it slow. That's how it lasts." David nods from afar, realizing Ethan isn't just rebuilding bodies. He's rebuilding lives. When Ethan walks over, David says softly, "You turned pain into purpose." Ethan shrugs. That's the only way it stops hurting. That evening, Ethan drives back to his favorite overlook. The city glows beneath him. Alive, endless, familiar. He rolls down the window, letting the cool air wash over him. The past feels distant now, its power dissolved. He whispers a prayer. "Thank you for every night that broke me and every dawn that built me back." On the passenger seat rests his daughter's drawing, the one that once read, "Daddy's strong." He smiles, adding a small note beneath it. "Still learning." The camera pulls back slowly, the car's headlights blending with the stars. Ethan's story isn't about loss anymore. It's about light, the kind only born through forgiveness. Years have passed. Ethan's movement, Still I Rise, has grown into a foundation reaching across cities, providing mentorship, shelter, and training for those once forgotten. Yet, Ethan remains the same man who wakes early, runs at dawn, and writes prayers on napkins. One morning, he visits a new shelter built in his program's name. The walls smell of fresh paint and possibility. Children laugh in the courtyard, their voices echoing hope. Rita greets him at the door, her silver hair now shining white. "You did it," she says softly. Ethan smiles. "No, we did." "God, just let me drive." He looks around, eyes filling with quiet awe. This isn't redemption. It's resurrection. Later that day, Maya meets him in his office, overlooking the city. She's no longer just his colleague. She's his closest ally in purpose. She shows him a letter from a man recently released from prison who found hope through Ethan's story. "I watched your video every night. I didn't give up because you didn't. Ethan sets the letter down, his throat tightening. Sometimes, he says softly, I think God let me fall so I could reach people I never would met standing tall. Maya nods, tears in her eyes. You didn't just rebuild a life, Ethan. You rebuilt belief. He looks out the window. The same city that once turned its back, now shining like a mirror of grace. That evening, Ethan delivers a keynote speech at a packed arena. 10,000 people fill the seats, silent as he steps onto the stage. He doesn't speak about success, money, or fame. He speaks about faith. I slept in my car. I lost everything I thought defined me, but it turns out, what defines you isn't what you have. It's what you refuse to surrender. He pauses, scanning the crowd. Faces lit by phone lights like a constellation. Pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. Don't waste your wilderness. It's the road that leads you home. The audience rises, but Ethan lowers his head, whispering, all glory to the one who never left me. After the speech, Ethan walks outside into the quiet night. The arena lights fade behind him. In the parking lot, a man waits. His once estranged partner, David. But this time there's no tension, no shadow between them. David hands him a small donation check for the foundation. You taught me what redemption looks like, he says quietly. Ethan accepts it with a smile. Then, you're part of it. They shake hands. Two men once divided by greed, now joined by grace. The past is finished. As David leaves, Ethan looks up at the night sky, whispering, this is what freedom feels like. The next morning, Ethan returns to the hilltop overlook, the place where everything began. The same wind, the same skyline, but a different man. He opens his notebook one last time and writes, the car was never my prison. It was my classroom. And faith was the lesson. He closes the book, places it on the dashboard beside his daughter's drawing, and smiles. Somewhere below, a new day rises. As the camera pulls back, his voice echoes. You can lose everything and still win your life back. You can be broken and still become the light that guides others home. Because sometimes losing it all is how you finally find yourself.